everybody, Matt Johnson from Team Tightbore Airsoft here, bringing you another gear review today. I'm going to be doing a review on something that every single person should have in their household, whether you play Airsoft or not. Gloves. Specifically, the Mechanix M-Pact. Alright, so now how dexterous are these? Normally, when you're working with bare hands, really easy to work with gear, you can feel everything. Gloves, no matter how good, will affect that. However, what I've noticed with the M-Pact series is much like the Mechanix originals, especially this 2012 edition, they really offer you a lot of feeling in your fingertips, and they do not affect your range of motion really any noticeable amount. So if you're working with something like a handgun, magazine's empty right now, so really easy to operate controls, no issue there. Got some magazines on my hip here. One hand operation, real easy. Working with a gun. No problem. Selector switch manipulation, not a big deal at all. Barely notice a thing. So any normal gear operation that you're going to be working with in the field is not affected any noticeable amount by wearing gloves. On the flip side, what I really do like that these gloves affect is winter driving. Being the Tightbore is based in Minnesota, and all of us have grown up pretty much our entire lives in Minnesota, we are no strangers to winter driving. And nothing is worse than a cold steering wheel in your hands that you have to hold. I love these gloves for it because the texture is very similar to the friction of human skin, so it makes it really easy to grab the wheel, let it slip through your hands, and it keeps your hands from just freezing up. I'm going to be doing something here that I have actually never done before. I'm going to be running a knife with a little bit of pressure across the palm. I don't know actually what this will do. To prove to you, this knife here is sharp. See if it'll focus. Not focusing very well, but I can assure you I am indeed shaving with it. This feels so wrong. Alright, well, I am really glad that it held up to this test. I wasn't putting a ton of pressure on this, however, I was putting more than I was comfortable with, by a pretty decent amount, especially from a blade that shaves as easily as this K-bar blade does. As far as the construction for these gloves go, I have the 2012 edition, which can be noted by the lack of a rubber reinforced index and thumb. Also, the lack of rubber on the index finger. This is because the M-Pact was originally designed as, weapons gloves. It was a huge thing in mind, so they wanted to keep that index finger freed for the trigger guard, so they can fit in smaller trigger guards, such as those on, M16s, Walthers, Glock, things like that don't always give you extra room like HK10s do. The rubber along the palms really does not inhibit movement very much. It's a very flexible rubber, and it does stretch a little bit, as you can see when I flex. You do notice it when it's there, especially when your fingers are out straight and the ridges come up, or if you're gripping something very tightly. However, when just normally wearing them around, fingers in a relaxed position, you don't even notice that they're there. Stitching on this, it's not top quality, but it's definitely decent. The tags on both of them are ripping off, and then it's just this little rip right here is the only other major issue that I'm having, and that's only through the very top layer. It's not even all the way through. Besides that, the construction of these gloves has really been solid. I know a lot of people will complain that the Velcro on the newer Mechanix is not as good. I cannot speak to that. Only the 2012 version, which I have here, and you know, I've had them for 9 months, and I usually put them on and take them off 4 or 5 times a day. I've had no issue there. With the paracord on the wrist, both for clipping them on, and I use them to help put the glove on frequently, I reinforced the stitching, as you can see there and there. Just went over it twice, worked fine. I haven't had any issue. That was one thing that I read in a review that you should do right off the bat, so I did, and never had an issue with it at all. These Clarino palm pieces right here are great for mountain biking. They absorb a lot of the shock that goes into this palm region of your hand, which is why whenever I go mountain biking, I wear them. And also, last time I went, I happened to punch a tree at a rather high rate of speed right along here. And I'm very, very thankful for the rubber that was there. I've used these gloves for everything from landscaping, moving angle iron, clearing brush. I spent almost a month working at camp this summer, putting in driveways with, you know, gravel and stuff by hand, going underneath the foundation to buildings to help with leaking, weed whipping, hauling wood, splitting wood, you name it. You know, these gloves have been through it. Another thing that you can see here is a distinction of the 2012 edition is the texturing on the thumb and the index finger. You can see that it hasn't worn off here on the side of the thumb, because this part barely gets any use. But with the index finger, the thumb, this wore off incredibly quickly and really offers no benefit to the glove. However, the texture wears just to the same texture as the rest of the fingers, which isn't really that big of a problem. I would have personally liked having the rubber reinforcing, same material as it is here, as you have on the older versions, but that decreases your dexterity and your sensitivity, so all in all, I can't complain with that. To conclude, I would just like to say that the M-Pacts are without a doubt the most comfortable work glove I have ever owned. They are wonderful for things like Airsoft. It does not feel like somebody threw an angry hornet in your glove every time you get shot in the back of your hand. Super easy to manipulate the weapon with, super easy to use for everything from shovels and axes to driving cars. I wear these almost every single day, especially when I'm back here in Minnesota. So honestly, if I could go back and buy these gloves again, not only would I buy them again, but I would buy 2 or 3 pair just to have extras on hand. I can say without a doubt that this is one of the best purchases that I made in 2015. And after having them for 9 months and just putting them through absolute torture, they have really stood the test of time and have been holding up well, and I predict that I'll get many more years of use out of these in the future. Thank you for watching.